We're back, and we've got two issues that converge on violence and converge with identities.
Mm-hmm. And family ties.
Yes. And headaches that flashpoint headaches.
Yeah. Flashpoint confusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Detective Comics number 953, League of Shadows Part 3, Kiss of the Dragon. Poor Clayface, he got pulled on guard duty, babysitting duty.
Babysitting duty,
Mhm.
yeah.
Orphan, in all seriousness, Orphan is not doing very well at all.
Yeah.
The revelation of who her mother is, trying to talk to her mother, fighting her mother, she's really at a breaking point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Given the fact that her dad, David Kane, who's just as much of an assassin as Lady Shiva is, was not a nice guy to her. I mean, the one flashback we see here is before all this, Cassie brings what she thinks is one of her mom's, like a scarf or something, to her dad. And her dad says, "Where'd you get that? That's not anything. That's from some woman I killed. Got stuck in my belt. Forgot to throw it away." And I mean, he's trying to wipe her mother out of her life.
Yes.
And that's probably just fueling the desire to find her mother even more. And then, of course, she finds her mother, and she's arguably even worse than David Kane.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, just as deadly as him, then possibly not as nice, which would be pushing it. So, yeah, she's in a very, very bad place because she is still fighting off the urge to, kill people. I mean, she sees pressure points. She sees things she can hit and kill somebody.
The way she's learned how to talk is with violence.
Yeah.
She learned how to kill before she learned to talk. And that's something that Shiva brings up to her is, your father taught you the language of death before he taught you how to speak. She says yes.
Yep.
And no better example than that is when Clayface says, "If you have to go, go." Orphan leaves, and Clayface says, "Hey, this is Basil." Orphan just kind of left, which really he let her go.
She snuck past me.
Yeah, snuck past me. All right. And that's when Batman says, "I'll intercept." Batwoman comes back to the Belfry. Batman and Orphan, he tries to hold her back. Not restraining her too much, but Orphan snaps at him.
Yeah.
And snaps not by saying, "Hey, move." She starts fighting him.
Yeah.
And everything that we know, what we've seen about when Batman said that she would win in a fight, he barely is able to defend himself. He's not fighting back, but he's defending himself. But she's going after him.
Yeah. This is someone who Batman definitely wouldn't fight with his full potential. And someone who he doesn't want to hurt, someone who's not in their right mind. But, I mean, just to see Cassie really thrash Batman, that's pretty crazy. That's I mean, it's definitely a testament to who her mom is and who her dad is.
Yes.
Because they're pretty deadly. And right after that, she goes to confront Shiva.
Yes.
And Shiva is super, super not just intrigued by her, but she's almost the way she mentions what you said about, hey, you see death. You learn to do all this before you learn to talk. She's almost kind of jealous about that. You got to have the childhood I wanted, sort of. It's that kind of thing. And of course, I mean, Cassie's trying to get out of that childhood. And Shiva wants her to be in that. And she says that she'll tell her why she abandoned her if they get into a fight to the death.
Yep.
Which seems a little bit impossible that you could explain why you abandoned someone if you're if you're dead. If you've taken a judo chop to the neck that pops an artery or something, you're not going to be able to explain very much. And I mean, Shiva, of course, beats the crap out of her.
Right.
I mean, she's at the end of it, she's still trying to provoke her. I mean, just to get her to get up and keep fighting and to just try and kill her. And it's very, very crazy on Shiva's part. And that kind of leads me to a little bit of a theory. This is the second time they've had a little tussle.
Yes.
And they had a tussle a couple issues ago. Shiva dispatched her without too much effort. This is a much longer fight. This is a much bloodier fight. And it seems almost like Shiva's trying to get Cassie to kill her. I mean, that might be what she's trying to do. Because the one I was thinking is, this is very crazy for Lady Shiva. This entire story arc, I mean,
Yes.
you know, doing all this stuff in Gotham, leading the League of Shadows, going against Ra's al Ghul. I mean, having Ra's al Ghul try and talk her out of stuff, it's like, wow, you've got to be off the deep end
Yes.
to have him talking you out of it. Which made me think, okay, the only thing that would make her that crazy would be maybe she had a dip in a Lazarus pit before that. You know, maybe she got injured, had to take a dip in that. She comes out not quite right. You know, maybe she's just trying to end her own life. I mean, maybe she's trying to provoke Cassie into a fight because she's tired of being Lady Shiva. I don't know. It's hard. There's an ulterior motive to everything Shiva does.
Right.
I mean, she says she hates Cassie. She doesn't want anything to do with her, and yet she keeps leaving her somewhere. You know, just to come right back to her. And that can't. It's not going to be to break her down. It's going to be either kill me and maybe take over the League of Shadows or the League of Assassins, or I don't know, something else.
We've got a lot of problems at the Belfry too, because looked like some ninjas took out Clayface and just spread him all over the Belfry. Batwoman comes back, and they take Batwoman out too, and they stab her right in front of her father. Ouch.
Yeah.
And then Batman is hearing some stuff going on in the cave.
Yeah, when he's talking to Alfred in the Batcave.
So he goes back to the cave, and on the monitors is all that chaos. And remember also that they've lost Batwing and Azrael to them. Lost as in they've been captured.
Yep. And at the end of Orphan and Shiva's fight, she leaves Orphan in what's basically like the Times Square of Gotham, and she's being beaten up by a mob.
Yep.
So, yeah, bad things are happening.
Bad things are happening, but did it get worse in the Batcave? Because all of a sudden, we look, Batman looks, and there's Ra's al Ghul in Ubu. What is going on there?
Yeah.
That's how we end this issue. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, and bear in mind, too, Ra's doesn't seem to be in league with Lady Shiva at this point. We saw that, I think that was last issue we had, was he was trying to talk her out of using the League of Shadows, trying to get her back in line. So maybe he's coming to Gotham to try and help out Batman, which is not going to be a partnership Batman's, if that's even what that is.
Right.
Batman's not going to be crazy about that.
No, but it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, and who knows if they'd even be able to fend off the League of Shadows, because that's some laughably effective ninjas right there. I mean, that's not
We've already
usual.
seen the colony get destroyed by Lady Shiva, dismantled. We'll see what happens. Detective Comics is a lot of... This really feels like Batman is going to have to make a deal with the demon to get the city back under the control. And hopefully Commissioner Gordon will get to take his vacation because he had a nice Hawaiian shirt on. That doesn't get ruined.
Yeah.
You got to remember that.
Yeah.
Detective Comics, the weeks ahead, we're going to really see, I think, Gotham City pushed to the limit, and Batman in some situations he is not comfortable with. The Flash number 19, Sins of the Father Part 2. We haven't talked about Flash in a couple of episodes. Last issue of Flash and Kid Flash went to Belle Reve because they found out that Reverse Flash, which is Wally's dad. We find out that Wally's dad was transferred to Belle Reve. And Wally and Barry Allen, they go, and we find out that Reverse Flash isn't there.
Or at least that was what Amanda Waller told them. And when Amanda Waller tells you something, you don't just get to go snooping around and say, well, I'll check for myself. You get to leave.
Yes. So Flash and Kid Flash continue the search for Daniel West, and that takes them out to, did they go to Australia? And where is Australia in terms of, in the DC universe? Australia's favorite son, Captain Boomerang. an appearance by Captain Boomerang.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we can never get enough of Flash and Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, yeah, probably trying to build on their sort of love-hate relationship from
Yeah.
Justice League versus Suicide Squad, and so right as they meet up with Captain Boomerang last issue, they all get taken by this the Weaver clan,
Yes.
which is a clan of like militaristic gunrunner types who have basically nets that can negate Flash and Kid Flash's powers. So they're stuck together with Captain
Right.
Boomerang.
I did like how the gun runners, their new guns are made with apocalyptic technology. So we see that back into play of that big apocalypse war. People are still not benefiting. People are still profiting off of it.
Yeah, between that and like the black hole and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
We also see that it turns out that Captain Boomerang was sent undercover to get these guns off the table. But of course, Kid Flash come. They kind of get things a little messed up. But we're going to skip a little bit. Basically what happens is they tell Flash to run to test out the gun. Captain Boomerang's kind of playing some mind tricks with the Weaver clan. But what I liked is when Kid Flash said, hey, anytime I try to vibrate, stuff explodes. He's able to get out of the nets. He uses one of Captain Boomerang's boomerangs to destroy the equipment. They capture the Weavers. And then we see, just before Captain Boomerang had called his ride back to Belle Reve, Wally asked about the Reverse Flash. And Captain Boomerang, why do you want to know? That was my dad. We find out that Reverse Flash sacrificed himself on a suicide mission. Of course, that's why they're called the Suicide Squad. And we're going to read about this, I guess, in the Suicide Squad Annual.
Yeah.
Where Reverse Flash sacrificed himself for a bomb that was going to go off to save children. That was kind of Wally West's tipping point. Because he had said that he had looked up to his dad, and his dad turned out to be this major criminal, this killer, but he was always nice to Wally. And that also, when that happens, that's the moment where Barry Allen shows Wally who he is.
Yeah.
At first it goes well, and then it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only when Barry finally mentions Iris, and Wally asks, "Well, does Iris know about this?" And Barry says, "No. I need to protect her from my secret identity. I need to keep her separate from the Flash." And Wally says, "Well, then you're no better than my dad."
Yep.
Because it sounded like Daniel West hadn't actually told Wally he was his dad. He would come around quite a bit, but he never, he was in and out of their household, but he never actually was his father, introduced himself as his father. So at this point, Wally's saying, well, how are you any different than him? You're just stringing her along just like he strung me along.
Yep.
And I mean, it's not the same thing in Barry's mind, because he has to keep, he's trying to keep his loved ones safe. That's why he wears a mask. That's why he's not the fastest man alive, Barry Allen. He's the Flash. So it'll be interesting to see how they bridge that gap.
Yes.
Because that's a big difference of understanding in that point. But then again, Wally doesn't really have any loved ones to protect aside from Iris.
Right.
So, and he's not going to go out and reveal his identity to the public either. So,
I think the emotion just was overwhelming Wally at that point.
Yep.
And hopefully he'll understand why Barry does. I don't blame Barry for not telling everyone his secret identity. Yeah, he loves and cares for Iris, but if she knows it, she's already a reporter, and she already takes a lot of risks to begin with. Is she going to take even more knowing that the Flash, that she can... Would she take more risk knowing that maybe the Flash would be overprotective of her? Or would she be not as efficient at her job because she doesn't want to...
She may not be able to do it if he's constantly watching over her.
Exactly. Wally's a lot of growing pains. And that causes Barry to kind of have some pains of emotions of, well, everything I do, all these lights isn't really, sometimes it's a truck coming right at you. He was making an analogy, but with the lights coming at you, that last page, over at Iron Heights, they show the prison where Eba Thawne original Reverse Flash, Dr. Zoom, whatever you want to call him, whatever he
Professor
is.
Zoom,
Yeah,
yep.
Professor Zoom, whatever he is this week. Well, what he is he's free.
Yeah.
He breaks out, and not only that, he says, I remember Flashpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. I remember that Thomas Wayne as Batman killed me. Uh-oh. Now it's time to have some revenge on his son.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. That will lead into the Batman Flash crossover about the button here next month. That's some major rebirth implications.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to go happen on next with Flash and Batman.
Yeah.
There's a 4-part crossover in March, and you've seen the covers with Flash holding the button, Reverse Flash holding the button. Also, too, you see Reverse Flash's eyes, half red, half blue.
That's cool.
There's some stuff going on. We don't know what that truly means, but we know that this is going to be rebirth implications.
Yeah, well, that's really going to suck if Professor Zoom knows Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to really suck for Batman.
Right.
Because that's going to be, that's something that was in Flashpoint that as Barry Allen was there, he would get flashbacks of what had happened in the universe. I mean, he figured out that Thomas Wayne became Flashpoint Batman after Bruce was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe kind of the same thing happened to Professor Zoom, or that probably happened as he was, creating that universe.
Yep.
Either way, I think Batman needs to take a long nap at some point because he's got Bane to deal with in Batman. He's got the League of Shadows in Detective Comics, and now he's got Professor Zoom. So
yes,
might be a good day to spend the day in bed, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Just go put the pillow over your head and wait for the villains to go away.
Exactly. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, this is the headache-inducing time. Rebirth is definitely being kicked into the next level with the Superman Reborn Part 3 and Part 4 with Superman number 19 and Action Comics number 976. We'll be back in just a moment.